F125 and the future F1 games could be in rather large trouble, to be honest, and it's gonna be down to EA to try and sort this out. Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video, and welcome to something a little bit different now. I don't normally kind of do all the Doomsday videos on the channel, but I think this one is going to be quite important to make because literally this week F125 now has been out for 3 months. Originally it was met with quite a good reception. I think a lot of people really enjoyed the game. The handling model was a big upgrade from F124 and it has generally been quite good fun. Now slowly over time we've worked out that there are quite a few big issues with the title as well. Obviously, more recently, EA servers seem to spend half their life currently down, which is not ideal when you've got a game that is steered towards online play. But obviously, we've had things like the intermediate and the wet weather tyres, the AI still not simulating tyre temperature properly. The new My Team career mode I don't think has been as much of a success as EA were hoping for as well. Ultimately, not being able to drive this yourself I think has ruined it for a lot of people. So it kind of feels like F125 is in a weird place where they've got quite a few core things right, but quite a few core things wrong as well. And obviously, generally, I think gamers or players of the games are going to focus more on those things they haven't got right because, generally the grass is greener on the other side. That's just how the video game industry works. But to kind of try and, not extend this video out ridiculously or not try to be too clickbaity with it or anything like that, iRacing Studios obviously recently got confirmed. Obviously, we are all well aware that NASCAR 25 is going to be coming out in about 6 weeks' time in the middle of October. Yes, for those of you that are interested, I will be playing that game, and I will hopefully be playing that game quite a lot. But EA are going to have to start worrying because next year, iRacing Studios and Indycar have announced that they are obviously going to join up for a partnership, and we're going to be getting our first IndyCar game in over 20 years. Again, yes, I fully intend to be playing that game, and I think that, iRacing and iRacing Studios are probably going to do quite a good job with it because iRacing are seemingly one of the only developers right now that tend to do quite a good job with everything they produce, of course. I've played iRacing for years. In fact, I now even have a dedicated iRacing YouTube channel. There'll be a link to that down in the description, Matt212 iRacing. But of course, in more recent times, they're starting to branch out. They're starting to kind of, get into more and more racing series. We've seen them pick up more and more licenses. And unlike when Motorsport Games did this a few years ago, iRacing Studios, I think a lot more of us trust to actually get the job done. Now, like I said, of course, I'm going to be playing NASCAR 25 when that releases. I'm probably going to start a series on one of the other channels. And I want to do a lot of content with that because generally I find NASCAR quite fascinating as well. But yeah, I think the IndyCar one is going to be the big one next year. If they can hit the ground running with NASCAR 25, and if they can immediately drop a pretty good IndyCar program immediately, F1 is, or I'm sure the FIA or FOM are going to be looking over their shoulder and maybe kind of looking at EA and going, they might be doing a very good job over at iRacing Studios. And obviously, if iRacing Studios, can get things right with career mode, straight off the bat, it already looks like with NASCAR 25, they're doing a huge amount to make the career mode as in-depth as possible. They might be looking at the F1 game career modes and going, they haven't changed much in recent years. I know I've ranted on about it many times before. F1 World just isn't popular. It's never going to be popular. They've tried to bundle more and more stuff into F1 World, and it's still not interesting. The only reason I'm going to play any of kind of the F1 World features in the game is going to be just to try and finish off all the achievements inside F125 as well. But otherwise, people just aren't interested in it. League racing this year has been fairly interesting. Again, like I said, I think they've changed quite a few of the core mechanics for a good way, but they need to up their game, especially with career mode. I know obviously a lot of people that play the games more regularly or interact with kind of the community a bit more are generally people that do a bit more online racing, generally people that do, kind of a bit more social racing, things like that with other people. I cannot stress to you enough how many people just play career mode on these games? How many people just, will hop on and do a racer night or something like that? It is the lifeblood of the F1 games. And like I said, especially with some of the weird balancing issues of F125's My Team, that's not something they can really fix mid-game cycle. We will have to wait for F126, for those kind of features to be brought back or, fine-tuned a bit more. As I've said before, as you guys, if you're watching Career Mode Season 3 of My Team on the channel, you'll know that Season 3 has been fairly stagnant for the most part. We've been saved a little bit by kind of a resurgence of form for Ferrari late on in the campaign, as seems to be the case every My Team season I've done so far on F125. It's rather weird. But otherwise, there's been next to no upgrades I could do until we got those Phase 4 upgrades inside the game. Now, again, I feel like they are a really, really good addition to the title, and it is, fantastic to see that we are getting career mode changes, but they just haven't worked out the way EA wanted. Whether it's through a lack of play testing, whether it's through, a couple of other balancing issues as well, but ultimately it kind of means that you get a very much kind of, Season 1, Season 2, you make steady progress, and then it feels like, for me, Season 3 has made no progress until you get those Phase 4 upgrades, and then performance absolutely rockets off the charts. So, it's a little bit weird. Like I said, it's very unbalanced, and not exactly what we want to be seeing. But ultimately, it's not the biggest issue with F125, and we've said it before, and I'm a little bit nervous that it's still not going to happen, because, of course, we saw all of these changes to My Team this year. We need a new game engine. There's so many glitches that have been around for so long now. As we've said, the AI straight line speed around a few circuits, Silverstone is one of the best examples of that. That was an issue on F1 2020. They fixed it on that year's game. It hasn't been an issue again for 4 or 5 years, and then suddenly F1 25 comes around and it's a massive issue again. Balancing the circuits. So many people complain about it, that you can go to one track, Monaco for example, and 110 AI, I can lap the entire field twice in a 100% league race. Now, I understand that some people are on controller, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult for them. But yeah, you can do 110 AI at Monaco and lap the field twice. You can then go to Barcelona the very next race weekend in wet conditions and be, 2-3 seconds a lap slower than the AI, with no way of managing tyre temperatures and things like that. We've been on this Ego engine now for 10 years. F1 2015 was the first game with this. And, you look back at F1 2015 and look where EA and Codemasters are now with the title, and it's a huge, huge step up. But it kind of feels like, and whether they feel they are or not, until we kind of get all these bugs and issues sorted that they don't seem to be able to with the Ego engine at the moment, there needs to be a step up. I personally have always said Dirt Rally, EAWRC even, is a fantastic game, and, it kind of proved that they can build a very good game on a new engine. Now, I'm not suggesting that Unreal Engine, I think it's 5 or 6, that they used for EAWRC is absolutely the way they should go. But they do need a massive shake-up with the F1 games now. I've said for years that we should have the option for a more casual game mode, and then a really simulation-style mode. Something more similar to what you get on R Factor or iRacing even. But yeah, I think EA are going to be slightly nervous about iRacing picking up more of these licenses. If they can do a good job with NASCAR 25, if they can do a good job with the IndyCar game next year, F1 might be looking over their shoulder. Let's not forget that iRacing sponsor, I believe it's Max Etztersten in Formula 2. Max Verstappen is a huge advocate for iRacing. A lot of drivers play iRacing. Zhou Guanyu played the F1 games quite regularly. He's no longer on the F1 grid. Nobody else kind of within F1 that we're aware of really plays the games at all. So, if they're going to be even going to drivers kind of asking for feedback and thoughts like that, a lot of them are going to recommend iRacing is going to be the way to go in the future. Now, yeah, like I said, this is just a bit of a hypothetical video. This is just kind of me talking to you guys about it. I really want to know your thoughts and feelings down in the comments below as to what you think is going to be going on in the near future. Do you think iRacing Studios is going to be able to live up to the hype? Are you excited for NASCAR 25? Are you excited for the IndyCar game next year? Because I certainly am at this moment. Now, we could be surprised massively. NASCAR 25 might come out and it might not be as great as we all think it will be. But if we know iRacing, they are a team that is going to continue developing it very, very well. And, you know, kind of showcase that even if it doesn't come out the blocks running, they're going to make sure by the end of NASCAR 25, NASCAR 26 is going to be absolutely fantastic. So, yeah, like I said, this is just a bit of a warning to EA. They need to up their game. F1 25's been out about 3 months. It's decent, it's good, it's better than F1 24, but there are still a lot of improvements that need to be made. Let me know your thoughts and feelings down on the comments below. Like I said, I don't like making too many of these doomsday style videos, but I do think it's really, really important to talk about. Thank you all so much for watching, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon with more F1 content.